If you think Tampa is booming right now, you haven't seen anything yet. Over the next few years, this city is about to change in ways most people are not prepared for. We're going to go deeper into what's being built, why it matters, and what it means for you if you live here, and what they mean long-term for neighborhoods, property values, and quality of life. This isn't small stuff. This is Tampa 2.0 level change. Hi, my name's Alyssa, and I'm a local resident and realtor to Tampa, and I absolutely love sharing with you about the city and all the amazing things it has to offer for both those of you who already live here and those of you still thinking about whether or not Tampa is your next move. If you found this fun and helpful, be sure to hit the bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And if you are thinking about making a move to Tampa, click the link below to download my relocation guide or set up a time for us to talk one-on-one. Today, we're looking at the major projects shaping Tampa Bay in 2026 and beyond. Let's jump in first with Gasworks. Gasworks is one of those projects that on paper looks like another big mixed-use development, but in reality, it's a stitching project. It literally connects pieces of the city that have felt separate for decades. We're talking about roughly 50 acres between Ybor City and the Channel District that historically has been industrial land that's been underused and pretty neglected. Now it's being turned into thousands of residential units, office space, retail, restaurants, and a ton of public improvements. Gasworks includes a huge number of new apartments and condos over the full build-out, with ground floor retail and restaurants that actually make the streets usable, not just units on a map. There's a serious focus on walkability and on integrated connections into historic Ybor, along with the integration into the Tico streetcar and better connectivity into downtown. As we get further into 2026 and beyond, this isn't just about more places to live. It softens that gap between Ybor and the Channel District, so it feels more like one continuous urban experience and not a bunch of disconnected pockets. It attracts people who want an urban lifestyle, but maybe don't necessarily want to be in the middle of downtown Tampa. From a local perspective, the real impact of Gasworks is that more residents in and around Ybor mean more support for local businesses that have been grinding it out for years. Better infrastructure, better lighting, more people on the streets at different hours, all add up to a different energy and over time, a different reputation. And yes, if you own property around here, these are the kinds of projects that quietly raise the floor on value. Gasworks is important because it sets the stage for the next project I want to talk about, Ybor Harbor. If Gasworks is the land bridge, then Ybor Harbor is the wow piece on the water. The city recently gave the green light for Ybor Harbor to move forward. Daryl Shaw is leading the charge here with a $200 million vision that pulls Ybor back toward the water in a serious way. The plan includes new public waterfront access where, up until now, the water has basically been fenced off and forgotten. There will be parks and green space, boardwalks, retail and restaurants on the water, new housing options, and a full rethinking of how people actually move through this part of town. Ybor Harbor gives Tampa another true waterfront district, but not just a couple of marinas and industrial land, but a place where people go to spend time. It changes the mental map of Ybor. And right now, most people think of 7th Avenue, nightlife, cigars, chickens, and maybe brunch. But in the future, they'll think historic core, neighborhood living, and waterfront lifestyle. It also amplifies everything happening with Gasworks. And when you stack walkable, housing, retail, food, and waterfront access together, you're not just adding density, you're changing the entire experience of living in this part of Tampa. This is also where being early matters. People who are already in Ybor or just outside of it are positioned really well for this. A lot of people still see Ybor through an older lens. And these projects land more fully into that 2026 and beyond window, and by the time the average person catches on, the opportunity to get in early is gone. Ybor Harbor isn't happening in isolation though. It ties into something much bigger, the continued expansion of Tampa's Riverwalk. If Tampa has a backbone, it's the Riverwalk. What started as a somewhat modest waterfront path has turned into one of the defining features of the city, and it's still not done. The long-term plan is to extend the reach of the Riverwalk so that it doesn't just hug the downtown waterfront, but ties into more neighborhoods and creates more continuous, safe, and scenic ways to walk, run, bike, and access restaurants, bars, parks, museums, and eventually these new districts like Ybor Harbor. The Riverwalk has already proven itself as an economic engine. You can literally look at the property values, business performance, and foot traffic along it and see the difference. Every extension and connection multiplies that effect. You're not just adding length, you're adding nodes of activity. And as more of these connections are built out, what you'll see is fewer dead zones along the water and more reasons to spend entire days moving from one part of the city to another without ever getting in your car, and more justification for small businesses to open along these paths because they know there will be consistent human traffic. This is where the projects we're talking about stop being individual developments and start to become a network. Gasworks feeds into Ybor Harbor and downtown tie through the Riverwalk connectivity, and then right at the center of a lot of that energy is our next big piece, the new entertainment district across from Benchmark International Arena. If you've been to an event at Benchmark Arena, then you already know this area has insane potential. Right now you've got the arena itself, the water and proximity to downtown and the Riverwalk, but what's been missing is a fully built out entertainment district that can turn going to a game or a concert into spending an entire afternoon or night in that area. The planned entertainment district across from the arena is designed to fix that. We're talking about restaurants, bars, retail, and more public space to actually hang out before and after events, plus better integration into the existing Riverwalk and waterfront programming. This changes the city in a few important ways. It turns event nights into true economic events for local businesses and not just in and out traffic. It creates a magnet area even when nothing is happening at the arena because people will still go there for the vibe. It strengthens downtown as a whole because now you have more districts that feel connected rather than scattered. And from a local expert standpoint, what I think people underestimate is that in the same way Water Street Tampa quietly shifted the center of gravity downtown, a fully functional entertainment district by the arena will shift how people think about going out in Tampa. It will also push more residential demand into nearby areas because a lot of people want to live where that kind of energy is. Now let's jump to the other side of town because what's happening at West Shore Plaza is just as big in a totally different way. If you've lived here for any length of time, you know West Shore Plaza is not just a mall, it's a landmark. It's where people grew up shopping, hanging out, going to the movies, and working first jobs. But the reality is the era of the traditional mall is done. And instead of letting West Shore slowly die, the plan is to completely reimagine it. The West Shore Plaza redevelopment is not just a light refresh. We're talking demolition of the old Sears building and a large portions of the mall footprint, adding residential units, office space, outdoor-focused retail and restaurants, walkable streets and plazas, and a more modern mixed-use district feel instead of a sealed-off indoor mall. West Shore is already one of Tampa's key business districts with major employers, hotels, and proximity to the airport. Turn that area into an actually walkable live, work, play district, and you've just created a massive magnet for both the residents and companies. It also diversifies where urban living happens in Tampa. It's not just downtown or Channelside anymore, and timeline-wise, you're gonna see this play out in phases over the coming years. But by that 2026 to 2030 window, the West Shore neighborhood is going to look and feel dramatically different. More people living there full-time, fewer empty retail boxes, and more reason to be in the area even if you're not going there to shop. From an insider perspective, this is one of those projects that will feel weird while it's happening. People will complain about construction and nostalgia, but long-term, it's exactly what needs to happen to keep that area relevant and thriving. Now, when you step back and look at all these projects together, a very clear picture starts to form. You've got Gasworks redefining the connection between Ybor and the urban core. You've got Ybor Harbor opening up new waterfront access and turning industrial edges into a destination. You've got the Riverwalk expansion, stitching neighborhoods and experiences together along the water. You've got a new entertainment district by Benchmark International Arena, creating a true event and lifestyle hub downtown. And you've got West Shore Plaza's redevelopment, turning a traditional mall into a modern mixed-use district on the west side of town. This is not random. What Tampa is doing, whether intentionally or just through the momentum of good planning and private investments, is building multiple distinct urban districts, tying them together with walkable, waterfront, and transit-accessible connections, and raising the baseline experience of what it means to live here. And if you live here already, own a business here, own property here, or are thinking about moving or investing here, you should be paying attention now. The map of desirable neighborhoods is going to look really different in the coming years. And the way people move through the city will be different. The expectations buyers, renters, and tourists have of Tampa will be higher. The people who do well in that environment are the ones who understand where the growth is headed, understand how projects like these change not just the skyline, but the daily life and economics of an area, and are willing to lean in early instead of waiting until everything is finished and priced accordingly. And if you've stayed with me this far, you're clearly one of the people who actually cares about how Tampa is growing, not just the headlines. Let me know in the comments which of these projects you're most excited about or most skeptical of. Tampa is changing. You can either watch it happen from the sidelines or actually understand it and position yourself for what's coming.